The night sky was quiet. Far above Earth, everything seemed normal, but in deep space, something was coming. It moved silently, like shadows across the stars. No one on Earth could see it yet, but a signal had already reached the planet. In a small room filled with blinking lights, a young scientist named Rami sat alone. He was watching data from space. His job was simple: track anything strange. But tonight, something different showed up. A signal, not from a star, not from a planet. It was moving fast, and it was coming straight to Earth. Rami leaned forward. He adjusted the screen. The signal was not natural. It had a pattern. It was not just one, but many. Dozens, then hundreds. It looked like a fleet. He blinked. This couldn't be real. He checked again. His hands started to shake. He picked up the phone. "Control, this is Rami. You need to see this now." Within minutes, the space agency was in full motion. Screens lit up across the globe. Scientists, leaders, and experts all watched the same data. A fleet of unknown objects was entering the solar system. No message, no answer, just quiet movement toward Earth. People were confused. Some were afraid. Some thought it might be a mistake. But the pattern was clear. They were not just passing by. They were heading for Earth directly. Governments tried to send signals. No response. They used old languages, friendly messages, even light signals. Nothing worked. The objects kept coming. They passed by Mars without stopping. 1 week, maybe less. That was all the time left. But something else happened, something Earth didn't expect. Suddenly, satellites started going silent, one by one. First in deep space, then closer. Communication links were failing, but not by accident. It felt like someone or something was turning them off. In Antarctica, hidden deep under the ice, a machine woke up. It had been sleeping for a long time. Not days or years, but centuries. Maybe more. No one knew it was there. No one had touched it in generations. But now, it was online. Its lights turned on slowly. A soft hum filled the frozen air. It spoke, but there was no one to hear it. Just a quiet voice that said, "Activation code confirmed. Earth's defense protocol starting." At the same time, a retired space pilot named Erin felt a sharp pain in his head. He lived alone, far from the cities. He had left the space agency years ago, but now, strange dreams began to come. In them, he saw stars, ships, and a strange machine under the ice. He had never seen it before, but in the dreams he was walking toward it. He woke up, sweating. He didn't know why, but he felt something was calling him. He looked up at the night sky. Something was coming, and Earth was waking up. Back at the control center, Rami stayed at his desk. He couldn't sleep. The signals were getting stronger. The fleet was close now, too close. But something strange happened again. One of the unknown objects suddenly stopped moving. Then another. They did not crash. They did not change direction. They just stopped frozen in space. The other ships kept moving, but a few had gone completely still. Rami didn't understand. He checked the system. Was it a trick? A malfunction? But the data was real. It looked like something had stopped them, but Earth hadn't fired anything. What was happening? He shared the data with the global network. Other scientists confirmed it. The strange part was, the objects that stopped were still sending signals, but the signals were repeating, like they were stuck in a loop. No one knew what it meant. Far beneath the ice, the machine continued to wake up. Its voice spoke again. Target approach confirmed. Memory check complete. Defensive systems online. But this time, someone heard it. A team of research scientists near the South Pole picked up the energy spike. They tracked it and found something buried deep in the ice. It wasn't natural. It wasn't man-made either. It looked old, but far beyond any known human technology. They called the agency. Within hours, a special team was sent to check it. Erin, the retired pilot, was asked to join. They didn't know why, but the signal from the machine matched something from his past. Something not even he remembered clearly. As the team landed near the ice cave, a low light glowed from under the snow. The machine was waiting, and it had a message. The screen blinked. 3 simple words appeared. "They are here." The cold wind blew across the icy land as the team moved slowly toward the glowing signal under the ice. Erin walked carefully behind the others, his eyes fixed on the snowy ground. The dream he had seen was now becoming real. Every step he took felt strangely familiar, like he had been here before, but that was impossible. The research team stopped near a deep crack in the ice. Beneath it, soft blue light was glowing. Machines had already started digging. The scientists whispered among themselves, confused and curious. The signal was strong and constant, not random like natural energy. It had a rhythm, a purpose. One of the researchers, Dr. Lena, looked up from her scanner. Whatever this is, it's not dead, it's active, and it's not reacting like a normal machine. Inside the ice, something waited. The digging continued for hours. Then finally, a large metallic surface appeared. It was smooth and shining, like a mirror, but it reflected no faces. It gave off a strange warmth, even in the freezing air. They cleared the area. Slowly, the shape of a doorway began to show. Symbols appeared on the surface, glowing faintly. No one could read them. They didn't look human. But when Erin touched the metal, something strange happened. The door opened. No tools, no codes, just a soft hum, and the metal slid open like water. Behind it, a tunnel led into the ground. Lights turned on inside, one by one, as if the place knew they had arrived. The team entered slowly. The walls were covered in the same glowing symbols. No wires, no machines. Everything looked smooth and alive, as if it had grown rather than been built. At the end of the tunnel, they entered a large round chamber. In the center stood a tall structure part machine, part sculpture. It looked old, but untouched by time. It had no buttons, no screen. But when Erin stepped forward, the machine responded. A soft voice filled the chamber. Uza recognized. "Welcome back." Everyone froze. Erin stared at the machine. "What do you mean, back?" The voice continued, calm and emotionless. "Memory incomplete. Partial link established. Defense system prepared. Awaiting instruction." Dr. Lena looked at Erin. "It knows you. But how?" Erin shook his head. "I've never seen this before in my life, I think." But deep in his mind, something was waking up. Not a memory, but a feeling. This place was not new to him. It felt like home, but not the home he remembered. The machine spoke again. "Threat approaching. Estimated arrival, 42 hours. Last defense protocol was activated 12,000 Earth years ago. Time to reactivate." Everyone looked at each other in silence. What did it mean? A defense system from thousands of years ago. Who built it? Humans. Erin placed his hand on the base of the structure. It was warm, alive. It pulsed gently under his fingers. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber turned red. A new signal had been received. Above the Earth, in orbit, another satellite went silent. Then another. The alien fleet was growing closer. Still no messages. Still no signs of slowing down. Back at the command center, Rami stared at the screen. He noticed something strange again. Some alien ships were still stuck frozen like before. But now, more were joining them. It looked like something was disabling them from a great distance. But there were no beams, no weapons, just silence. He zoomed in on one frozen ship. The lights were off. No movement inside, like time had stopped for it. Rami whispered to himself, "What is doing this?" Back under the ice, the ancient machine came alive fully. Blue lines ran through the walls like veins. The voice changed, no longer soft and robotic, but deeper, clearer. "We remember them. They came before. They brought destruction. We were made to stop them. Earth must not fall again." Erin looked up. "You were built for this." The machine responded, "Built by humans. Not from this time. From before the silence." The team was confused. Lena asked, "You mean, humans built this in the past, but we don't have this kind of technology?" "No," said the voice, "not your time. From the first cycle, from when humans ruled the stars." A quiet pause filled the chamber. It was a heavy truth. Earth had a history no one remembered. But the machine did. Suddenly, part of the structure opened. Inside was a glowing cube. Erin picked it up. The machine said, "This is the key. It will connect you. The weapon will follow your thoughts, but only if you are ready." Erin stared at the cube. He didn't feel fear, only purpose. Outside, the alien fleet moved closer, but something unseen had already started watching them, and Earth was no longer silent. Asterisk high above Earth, the alien fleet continued its silent journey. Thousands of ships floated across the black sky, their surfaces smooth and dark, blending with the stars. Their mission was clear. Their orders were simple. But something was beginning to go wrong. Inside one of the command ships, confusion spread quietly. The lead navigator, a tall being with blue-tinted skin and glowing eyes, stared at the display. One of their scout vessels had gone silent. No signal, no power, no trace. Then a second ship vanished. Then a third. At first they believed it was a technical error, but their own systems were working perfectly. Communication between ships was still active, but slowly. Parts of their fleet were disappearing from the network one by one. They tried to reach out to Earth's communication systems again. Still no reply. Earth wasn't responding, but it also wasn't attacking. There were no defense satellites, no warning signals, no sign of any resistance. Yet something was interfering. With the fleet, the alien commander narrowed his eyes. What is this silence? Far below, deep under the Antarctic ice, the ancient machine hummed softly in its chamber. The light around the structure now glowed brighter. Eren stood near it, holding the small cube in his hands. He could feel it vibrating, lightly, like a heartbeat, but it wasn't his heartbeat. The machine had told him he was chosen, not because of skill, not because of strength, but because his mind carried something hidden, something connected to a time long forgotten. Dr. Lena was still, studying the walls around them. She had managed to record many of the glowing symbols. Some of them matched old ruins found across Earth, places like Egypt, Peru, and Central Asia. Symbols people thought were made by ancient civilizations. But now, they knew, these were not just symbols. They were pieces of a language. A lost language of the first cycle. Back at the Global Space Agency, Rami sat in front of his screen, eyes wide. He had just finished analyzing the signals from the frozen alien ships. The energy patterns made no sense. It was like something had scanned them, then simply stopped their systems from the inside. It's like their thoughts were paused, he said to himself. He didn't say this to anyone else yet, but he had noticed a pattern. The alien ships that stopped were not random. They followed a route, one that led to Earth's poles, especially the southern pole, where the energy signal from the machine was rising fast. Rami took a deep breath. Whatever was waking up under the ice, it wasn't just protecting Earth. It was doing something more, something much older. He started typing a report but stopped when another alert flashed on his screen. A new signal had just reached Earth's upper orbit. Not from the aliens, not from Earth, from something in between. It was a strange pulse, a message in light. Not words, just rhythm, almost like music. He opened the file. A slow, soft pattern of tones repeated, almost like a lullaby. It made no sense until he compared it to the pattern found on the ancient structure beneath the ice. It was the same. Meanwhile, Eren stepped into another chamber that had just opened behind the main control room. The walls were curved and smooth, and a single chair stood in the center. The cube in his hand pulled slightly, guiding him to sit. As he sat down, the lights dimmed. The machine spoke again, but this time, the voice came from inside his mind. You are now connected. In that moment, Eren's eyes widened. He could see beyond the walls, beyond the sky. His vision stretched into space. He saw the alien fleet ship glowing softly like candles. But around them, he saw something else. Tiny lines of light, invisible threads connecting the ships to each other, and then connecting them to Earth. The machine showed him everything. The history of the first cycle. A time when humans traveled across the stars. A time when this alien race had arrived, as explorers, then conquerors. A time when Earth fell, but not completely. Some humans had survived. Some had built this very machine as the last hope, hiding it deep where no one could find it. Not even Earth's future people. Now, the past had returned. The machine's voice echoed in Eren's thoughts. They do not know us, but we remember them. Outside in orbit, another alien ship froze in space. Its engines stopped, its lights dimmed. The crew inside tried to move, but something held them in place. Not a force, not a weapon, but an old memory. A memory that didn't belong to them. The alien commander tried to send orders. Nothing went through. His voice echoed in silence. The command ship was still active, but every moment, fewer ships responded. Back on Earth, Dr. Lena looked at Eren, who was now completely quiet. His eyes glowed faintly with the blue light. Eren, she said softly. He turned toward her slowly. I see everything now. They came once before. They ended so much, but we were not done. We left something behind. The machine pulsed again. Soon, it whispered. They will understand. As the alien fleet drifted quietly above Earth, more ships stopped mid-space, like statues frozen in time. The stars watched in silence, and Earth, for the first time in thousands of years, had begun to awaken its memory. Asterisk, the stars above Earth shimmered calmly, giving no sign that something strange was happening in orbit. Thousands of alien ships floated silently, part of a powerful fleet sent to take control of Earth. But now, many of those ships were no longer moving. Their lights had faded, their systems had paused, and no one in the fleet knew why. In the command ship, the alien leader stood still, eyes focused on the dark screen in front of him. Reports were coming in, but they made little sense. Their ships were not under attack. There were no explosions, no visible weapons. Still, entire groups of their fleet were falling into silence without warning and without struggle. He turned to his second officer. They are not responding. It's like they ... forgot how to move. The officer didn't speak. He simply stared at the display in confusion. Some of the missing ships had sent back strange images just before they went dark. Pictures of light, shifting symbols, and what looked like ... memories. Not their own, but someone else's. Far below, deep under the ice in Antarctica, Erin sat, in the ancient chair inside the hidden structure. His body was still, but his mind was fully awake. Through the machine's connection, he could see the alien ships like glowing shadows across the night sky. Each one had its own energy, its own signal, but some were now linked to Earth without ever touching the ground. The machine was not sending messages, it was reaching their thoughts, not in words, but in deep, emotional waves. Memory, fear, wonder, recognition. Dr. Lena stood beside him, watching carefully. She could see a quiet glow in Erin's eyes. He wasn't speaking, but she felt like he was somewhere else, somewhere far beyond the ice. Then the room around them shifted. The walls changed color. A soft hum filled the air, and new images appeared on the smooth surface in front of Erin. They were not of Earth, but of space vast and full of stars. Erin spoke, but it wasn't fully his voice. I'm seeing a place, no many places, human cities on other planets. Dr. Lena leaned forward. You mean, in the past? He nodded slowly. They were beautiful, full of light, full of knowledge. We built more than I thought. Earth wasn't alone, not back then. The machine began showing visions clearer now. In one, tall towers stood under a red sky. In another, humans in silver robes walked through halls of glass. In every image, a symbol appeared, a circle with a single glowing line across it. Lena realized it was the same symbol on the walls. Around them, the symbol of the first cycle. But then the images changed. The skies in the visions turned dark. Strange ships appeared, just like the ones floating above Earth now. These invaders had come before, not to explore, but to erase. The cities of the past were lost, one by one. The machine's voice returned, soft but firm. They ended our age. But not all of us. Some went into sleep, some became light, and some left warnings. Back in orbit, the alien leader watched as yet another group of his ships went silent. He clenched his hands behind his back. Still no sign of weapons, still no clear threat, yet something was happening, something far older than they had prepared for. He ordered a scan of the planet's surface, but the scan failed. A new energy field had appeared, surrounding parts of the Earth like a gentle fog. Not strong, not fast, but impossible to break. Every signal bounced back like a whisper that refused to travel. He turned again to his officers. We are not the first to face them, are we? The officers didn't respond. They didn't have to. On Earth, Erin stood from the chair. The cube in his hand was now glowing with a steady blue light. The machine whispered to him, "You are connected now. You can guide it, not with words, with intent." Dr. Lena stepped forward. "What do we do now?" Erin looked at her. "We show them." He raised the cube. The light spread across the chamber walls. Above them, a small panel opened, revealing a long and narrow platform. Erin walked onto it, and suddenly, his body rose slowly toward the surface, lifted by an invisible force. When he reached the open sky, the stars seemed brighter. The night was quiet, but not empty. He could feel them, the ships watching from above. Some were still moving, others were not, but all were listening now. Then, without speaking, Erin sent a thought, not a threat, but a memory. The platform glowed. In the skies above, the alien ships began receiving a new signal. This time, it was not strange, it was clear, a perfect image of a time long ago when Earth's people had filled the galaxy with peace and knowledge. They saw the beauty of the past. They saw what had been destroyed. They saw who had done it. And then, they saw Earth rise again. No sound, no attack, but a feeling passed through the fleet, one of warning, not because Earth had grown stronger, but because Earth had remembered who it was. The alien commander took a step back from the screen. His face was calm now, but his eyes showed something different. Understanding. Earth had not responded to their arrival. It had waited, watched, then reminded them that silence is sometimes louder than words. The stars remained bright. The sky remained quiet. But the silence now carried a message. Earth was not alone, and it never truly had been. The stars slowly moved over Earth, as if watching the quiet changes happening below. The alien fleet, once proud and confident, now floated in deep uncertainty. Half of their ships were no longer responding. The rest stayed still, waiting for answers that never came. Their powerful systems had not failed. Their weapons were not touched. But something unseen was now in control, and they could feel it. Inside the command ship, the leader stood in silence. The crew spoke less now. They had tried again and again to reach their disabled ships, but every attempt ended the same way. No response, no echo, just empty space. And then, something new happened. A message appeared on their main display. It was not sent by radio. It was not from any known language. It came as a series of images, moving slowly and clearly, too clear to be a mistake. The first image was of Earth, covered in blue oceans and green lands. The second was of people, humans standing together in strange clothing, not from any present age. Behind them stood tall buildings made of crystal and silver. Above them flew ships that looked almost alive, moving with smooth light. The third image was different. The sky above the humans turned red. The peaceful cities were under a strange shadow. Ships unlike Earth's began to arrive, and behind them, a symbol, a circle with 3 lines running through it. The alien commander recognized that symbol. It belonged to their own past. But how was it here? How did Earth have this memory? He watched the fourth image. This time, the same humans were standing in a dark room. They were leaving something behind, a machine, deep underground. A voice filled the command ship, not a human voice, not alien either. Just a calm sound in their minds. "We remembered," it said. "You forgot." On Earth, Aaron stood in the cold air above the ice, still holding the glowing cube. His connection to the machine had grown stronger. He didn't just see the alien ships anymore. He felt them. He could sense their confusion, their fear, and something deeper. Recognition. Dr. Lena joined him, stepping carefully onto the platform. "What did they see?" she asked. "They saw what they once did," Aaron replied. "And what we once were." She looked up at the stars. "Do you really think humans had all that power?" Aaron nodded slowly. "Yes, but we lost it. We lost everything, except one thing." Lena looked at him. "What?" "Our memory." Below them, the ancient machine continued to pulse with light. It was no longer just a machine. It was now a doorway, a bridge between what Earth had been and what it could become again. Inside the Global Space Agency, Rami stared at the data streaming. Across the monitors, the energy readings had changed. What had looked like a strange natural wave was now showing patterns of thought, like a mind speaking through light. He realized Earth wasn't fighting back. It was remembering something and showing it. He quickly opened a new file and began recording a log. Entry 87. "It's not a war. It never was. It's a return. Something was left behind long ago, and now it's awake." Far across the stars, other civilizations had started to listen. The same message that reached the alien fleet now spread further, carried by waves of energy that moved faster than light. One by one, distant planets paused. Observers watched carefully. Some of them remembered Earth's name from ancient stories. Some had laughed, some had feared, but now, they were quiet in orbit. The alien commander finally spoke. "We believed Earth was weak, simple, divided, but it was only quiet. Beneath that quiet was something stronger than force. Memory." He turned to his crew. "We came to control them, but now I see. They controlled nothing. They simply waited." At that moment, a new signal rose from Earth. This time it was different. It carried no images, no sound. Just a soft pulse like a heartbeat. In Antarctica, Aaron felt it first. The cube in his hand became warm, not with heat, but with presence. He turned to Lena. "It's reaching out," he said. "To what?" she asked. to everything. The light around them began to spread. Across the planet, old places lit up as forests, mountains, places long forgotten. Buried devices hidden deep within the earth began to wake. Each one carried a message from the past. In a small village near the Himalayas, an old temple glowed softly at midnight. In the oceans near South America, a deep signal was picked up by researchers who had never seen anything like it. All across the planet, Earth's memory was unfolding like pages in a forgotten book. But this time, it wasn't just remembering the past, it was preparing for the future. Back in space, the alien fleet started pulling back. No command was given, no retreat was announced, but something in their systems had changed. Their course had turned. They would not speak of this to others, not openly, but every world they passed would notice a quiet message left behind. Earth has remembered. Do not disturb it again. As the last of the ships began to disappear into the darkness of space, Earth remained still. No ships were launched. No warnings were sent. The planet had said everything without a single word, and above the ice, Erin whispered to the stars. We didn't fight them, we reminded them. The sky answered in silence, but that silence was now filled with meaning. Earth had been forgotten. Once. Not anymore. Asterisk. The stars looked calm, as always, but across the galaxy, something had shifted. It was not noise, not power, not speed. It was something older, quieter, and far more lasting. Awareness. Word of what happened near Earth had started to travel, not by messages, not through technology, but through something else. Memory passed silently between civilizations, hidden in the background of space. On distant worlds, leaders paused. On advanced stations near forgotten planets, scientists looked again at Earth's direction. Ships that once passed by without interest now changed course, curious or cautious, but Earth itself remained quiet. No warship left its orbit, no message was broadcast. In fact, the planet looked peaceful. Yet those who had felt the signal, the pulse of memory, knew something was now watching. Not a fleet, not a person, something deeper, something that had awakened and would never sleep again. In Antarctica, the cold wind blew gently across the snow. The ancient chamber beneath the ice still glowed softly, but now its energy was calm, steady. Erin stood near the edge of the platform, looking up at the sky. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. Dr. Lena stood beside him, her coat tight against the breeze. She held a small device in her hand, scanning the atmosphere. Energy levels are stable, she said softly, stronger than before, but steady, like it's breathing. Erin nodded. It's not preparing to strike, it's just ... present. She turned toward him. Do you think it's over? Erin didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked down at the cube in his hand. Its light no longer flickered. It pulsed slowly, like a heart. I think it never began. Lena frowned. What do you mean? We thought this was the start of something, an attack, a war, but I think ... this was only Earth's reply, a memory shared. A warning, maybe, but not a fight. She looked around the quiet landscape, then toward the horizon. Strange. We saved the planet by remembering who we were. No, Erin said. Gently, the planet saved itself. Across Earth, things had begun to shift in small but powerful ways. In ancient temples, carvings started to glow faintly. In caves where strange echoes had been heard for centuries, people now reported clear sounds, soft tones, voices in forgotten languages. Deep ocean sensors picked up rhythmic pulses from the sea floor. In quiet corners of the world, Earth's hidden systems were whispering, not just to humans, but to the stars, and the stars were listening. In a system far from Earth, an observation station floated quietly in orbit around a blue gas giant. Its crew had been studying galactic signals for decades. They had never paid much attention to Earth, just another planet around a common star. But now, something had changed. A technician watched as a signal appeared on his screen. It wasn't coded, it wasn't spoken, it was known. Somehow, he understood it without translation. He turned to his captain. Sir, you may want to see this. The captain walked over and read the simple message that appeared on the console. Is no longer silent, no origin, no timestamp, but it was real, and it wasn't the only one. Dozens of similar messages were being picked up across different sectors of the galaxy. Some came with strange energy patterns, others with visual data showing old Earth symbols. The pattern was clear. The past had returned, not in the form of ships or armies, but in present, subtle, powerful, unforgettable. Back on Earth, Rami sat at his desk inside the Global Space Agency. He had spent days collecting data, comparing the changes in energy around the planet. At first, the numbers made no sense. There was no single source of power, no center of activity, yet something was different. He finally typed a note in his log. Earth has become self-aware. It wasn't alive in the way people understood life. It didn't think in language, but it was awake. And whatever message it had sent, it had been heard. In orbit, the few remaining alien ships that hadn't left still floated, their systems quiet. Some of them had shut down completely, not out of damage but out of choice. Their crews had received the same visions as the others. Some had cried, some had meditated, some had sent final messages home, saying only, "Do not follow." A silence had spread, not one of fear, but of respect. No ship dared to move closer now. No signal challenged Earth again. The planet had not asked for attention, but now it had it. One evening, as the sun set behind the ice mountains of Antarctica, Erin stood at the edge of the cliff. The sky turned deep orange and gold. The stars began to appear again, one by one. Lena joined him quietly. He spoke, almost in a whisper. "I used to think silence was weakness, that being quiet meant being powerless." She looked up at the stars, and now I think silence is what remains, ... When everything else has been said. The last light from the cube faded as the sun dipped below the horizon. Earth was calm again. But this calm was not empty. It was full. A message had been sent. A memory had returned. And across the stars, those who once looked down on Earth would now look up to it, not as a planet to conquer, but as something to remember.